My Hero Academia is an anime filled with fun characters and interesting powers, but how would these quirks translate into the real world? Well, today marks the start of a 3-part mini-series I'll be doing discussing just that. Today's video 1 of 3, is going to be talking about quirks that would kill their user in the real world. Originally, I wanted to exclusively talk about quirks that would kill their user instantly upon activation, but I decided to add in some slower deaths as well. I'll be using a whole heap of different sciences and brain thinking, but for a lot of these, it's physics-based. Mainly because, me dumb caveman like physics. That being said, I am by no means claiming to be an expert, so if I make any mistakes, please feel free to tell me about it in the comments, and if you want to ask me how other quirks would interact with reality, feel free to do so as well. You can either do that in the comments or my preferred medium, Discord, link in the description. Now then, let's start talking self-induced death killing. For a starting point, I doubt there is any better than the main character himself, so that's what we'll do. Deku has quite the quirk. It endows him with enhanced physical prowess to the extreme. I'm sure this one comes as a surprise to no one, because even to this day, when we see Deku go all out, it's not without severe physical attacks or injury. His first real outing, sadly, would have been his last in our world, in the real world. If we go ahead and take a look at the villain bot he destroys during the test, we see some startling numbers. These calculations are going to be extreme lowballing, because it's pretty hard to find info about the 0-point villain bots, but I tried my best and I'm going to break it down for you. If we look at an image of Deku in the air next to the bot's head, we can see it's at least 7 times taller than him. Deku is 166 centimeters tall, so that would make it 1,162 centimeters, or over 38 feet at the absolute minimum. This is also probably already a huge lowball because the bot's head is quite a ways away from Deku in this frame, so they aren't standing right next to each other. Lowball estimates based on proximity measuring put the dimensions of the head around 11.62 meters in height, 6 meters in width, and 29.05 meters in length. Total volume 2,025.366 cubic meters. Now here's where I have to make an assumption, albeit a fairly educated one. In the show, I've got no idea what material this thing is made of, but I think in the real world, the only reasonable explanation is something like 1018 low-carbon steel, or just any structural steel in general. Well, that weighs about 7,700 kilograms per cubic meter, which is about 17,000 pounds. Yet again, we are going to lowball and say that this steel makes up only 50% of the head, and that the other 50% weighs nothing, 0 weight, which comes out to 15,595,318 kilograms, which is then divided in half. Which would mean that the head of this robot weighs at least 7,795,659 kilograms rounded down, or 17,190,895 pounds. As I'm sure you all know, we need to know how fast this bot is moving to calculate the force, because, like we all learned in middle school, force equals mass times acceleration. It actually is moving fast, like way faster than I thought, but I'm going to cap it at 6 meters per second because anything beyond that, and this just gets even more sad for Deku. So boom, there we go. Now we can calculate force, which gives us, holy shit, 46,786,000 newtons, or 46.7 meganewtons. How to put this in perspective? Well, the femur, aka the strongest bone in your body, breaks at around 4,000 newtons, for the average person at least. At first I was calculating the force of this punch using the compressive strength of steel and or its shearing force. Using this handy chart from an industrial steel website was what made this possible, but honestly going off of mass is good for 2 reasons. One, it's much easier to actually figure out the numbers behind Deku's punch, and 2, it's going to be a little more accurate. We can obviously see that he smashes in the bot's face, but other than a 50-inch steel plate, I have no idea what's back there. Now, why am I going over all this math and this stupid shit? Well, because that pesky third law tells us that every action has an equal and opposite reaction. To put it simply, Deku is hit with the same amount of force that he hits with. So Deku just tanked a hit that would break his femur 11,600 times over. He would tear his arm off and probably break every bone in his body. And I bet you're thinking, well, Squid, that sounds bad, but he's in the air, so that has to help him somewhat. Yeah, you're right, some of the force would be lost to him moving backwards, but remember this. We lowballed at every possible turn. This doesn't even begin to take into account the weight of the body, which is dozens of times larger than the head. Honestly, if I had to guess, I would say he is at nuclear weapon levels of force here. Also, a little secret for you, he probably would have passed out or died just from jumping like he did. Acceleration is a bitch and is what we're going to talk about next. Going fast presents some interesting problems. First off, if you are moving at, let's say, 750 meters per second, then stop on something, you are going to absolutely splatter yourself if you stop quickly. But that is a pretty similar cause of death to the one we just talked about. So you're fine as long as you don't stop too fast, right? Well, maybe, as long as you don't go too fast in general, because at a high enough speed, just the friction from air alone would burn all your skin off. And a pebble hitting you at 5,000 kilometers a second is still a big splatter. I want to talk about the way speedsters start their big fight moves. Specifically, we'll be looking at Gran Torino, because I like him. But honestly, this cause of death could apply to a bunch of people in the series. I just picked him because it's funny seeing an old person do a kick. Also, from here on out, no more big calculations. This video has already taken 3 days longer than planned. I wanted to get it out on my birthday, but it's going to be a day late. So, I do want to get it out before 2020, though. I'll just be going over the cause of death from now on. What would kill Gran Torino here? G-Force, my guy. G-Force. Let's say Gran Torino has a higher than average tolerance and that his suit functions like a fighter pilot's, so he could handle maybe 7 or 8 Gs without passing out. Again, exact information about his speed was weirdly hard for me to come by, but rest assured that even if this one aspect of the speed drawback didn't kill him, the other two would almost surely pick up the slack in slaying this old piece of shit. And like I said earlier, this applies to many characters. Basically, TLDR is that if you start standing still, go so fast that you aren't able to be seen, and then stop in just a couple seconds, you are going to be in a world of discomfort. Next up, we have one of my least favorite characters, Bakugo. This one may be even more obvious than Deku, but it brings up a fun point. His explosives are a great example of an awful quirk to just be anywhere near. So he makes explosions with what is described as a nitroglycerin-like substance produced from his sweat glands. So he is just sweating TNT, which means that he is subjecting himself to constant soft tissue damage, and also anyone that he uses his quirk near. Not to mention the heat and the blowback. Again, if you send an explosion capable of destroying a mountain out of one of your hands, you are also going to be subjected to the same force. Bakugo is actually mega fucked because it looks like he sets off the explosions in his actual hand and simply directs them. Myrio is on this list, but they explain it in the show, which saves me time. He would mess up once and tear himself in half. He gets one mulligan. I mean, he doesn't even get one mulligan. If he fucks up, he's dead. It isn't a guarantee that he would mess up, though, so he's just on high alert for death, not an instant kill. Wouldn't say that his odds in the real world would be great, though, to be honest. Okay, next few are going to be rapid fire, and then we'll go over my favorite one last. Fat Gum, useful quirk, but puts him at a wildly increased risk of heart disease. His arterial health is of very high concern to me. Sato, or Sato? I don't even remember this character's name, how it's pronounced. He would have such a high blood sugar that I'm pretty sure he wouldn't even have diabetes. This fool would have beatus squared. Endeavor. I'm going to say Endeavor. This guy I love because honestly, when used correctly, his quirk wouldn't be too scary, but of course this idiot has to do some stupid shit to look cool. See that facial hair made of fire there? Cool, right? No, wrong. It is a safety hazard. Burn risk aside, in the real world, fire needs oxygen to burn, and not a small amount of it either. So this fiery-faced fuck has purposefully put this oxygen-consuming thing right by his nose and mouth. You know, where he breathes from? Not a problem if he just stops suffocating himself, though. Hero Killer Stain. AIDS. Need I say more? Well, I will. Hero Killer Stain, more like Stain's quirk is killing him. So, his quirk revolves around licking up other people's blood. Well, sorry Stain, you fought a hoe and now have all the STIs with none of the sex. Not to mention, once you caught AIDS from licking some bad blood, your quirk would kill you even quicker, making you susceptible to all kinds of illnesses. And finally, my personal favorite, a beautiful one, Todoroki. Handsome half-and-half hero for sure, but also quite adept at just killing himself. Just like Bakugo, he would be a huge hazard to be anywhere near. I mean, anyone near him in his radius would be pretty much fucked, and his radius is actually probably way bigger than Bakugo's, at least from what I've seen of these two. So, what ends him? What kills Todoroki? Burns? Nope. Frostbite? No sir. What I've chosen to focus on is his lungs. Looking at the fight he had with Deku, we see him use large amounts of fire to quickly warm himself up. His outsides may be fine, but inside his body is another story. Let me tell you kids a little something about thermodynamics. Cold things shrink, hot things expand. Same goes for air, and actually quite dramatically at that. So picture this, if you will. He cools the air down around him to well below freezing, then takes a nice deep breath and warms himself up. What do you think happens to our boy? Well, I'd wager you'd see something very similar if you had Bakugo shove his hand up Todoroki's ass and fire away. Very unsanitary, very gross. He would explode himself. That was a little joke for you guys. I do know how to say explode. That was just a little joke. Well, that's my list, at least of the ones I wanted to add into this video. Fun fact, originally it was going to be Gentle in place of Gran Torino, but I ended up seeing that clip of him getting mad that his food was cold, and it changed to him instead. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. It's a very big departure from anything anime related I've done in the past, which leads into something I want to say. I am sure that this isn't an original video concept. Other videos exploring this topic probably exist, but I don't really know. I don't watch anime content on YouTube hardly at all. So if you know someone who has made a video like this, or have made one yourself, I didn't mean to copy you. I swear, I'm sorry. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video and are excited for the next 2 parts in the series, maybe leave a like on this video. If you want to further the discussion, you can join my Discord or reach out on Twitter. As always, all links in the description below. Again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys soon with another cool one.